Hey everybody, Jeff Schneider here. Got a new chord progression to show you. It's gospel-y, it's R&B, it's funky, it's soulful, all the good stuff. So I'm going to play it first, then we're going to break it down. A couple bars of drums up front. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Now, believe it or not, I never play a C major chord in this chord progression, but the key center is actually C major. So we start right on the 4 chord, F major 7, and I have a 9 in there as well, that G. So I play that, and then I go into this E7 flat 9. Now, this is a secondary dominant chord, and I've done a video on secondary dominance in the past, so if you're not familiar with that, you should check that out after you watch the rest of this video, or you can do that now if you want. But we're doing this E7 chord, and it's a secondary dominant of the A minor, which is the next chord. So we're going F major 7, that's the 4 chord, going E7, that's the secondary dominant of that A minor, and that's the 3rd chord we're going to play. Now A minor in the key of C major, remember C major is our key center, A minor in the key of C major is the 6th chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's review once more. So now we're on A minor 7. That's the root there, and I'm playing the flat 7, and there's the flat 3rd. Now, in case you're interested in this sort of melody that I'm playing, I'll do just the melody. It's E, and you can do that extra grace note if you want, but that's the basic melody. E, E, F, E, D, C. Whoops, A minor 7 there. Okay, let's continue. Woo! Okay, what's that? Now, this is a C, E flat, A flat, and B. What chord is this? Does anybody know? Well, the bass is actually playing a D. Hold that D down there. So, if the notes are A, C, E flat, A flat, and B, A is the 5 of D, C is the flat 7, E flat is the flat 9, A flat or G sharp is the sharp 11, and then B is the 13. This is all coming off of D. So you could call this, and I know you could put the 3rd in there too actually, you could put F sharp, but this chord symbol would be D13 sharp 11 flat 9. Really, really thick, dense, but cool chord. So sounds like this in context. And then what we go to is, this is a like an F sharp or a G flat altered chord. I'm doing this grace note going from the D to the E, if you guys want to get that voicing down there. We got F sharp, A sharp, E, and then A. So if it's an F sharp, this chord is an F sharp 7 altered. So we have the 1, the 3, the flat 7 there, and there's the sharp 9 on the top. Now, why are we playing this chord? Well, what we're about to play after it is back to the beginning, back to the F major 7. So this G flat chord or F sharp chord is acting as a tritone substitution. Now, if you haven't learned about tritone substitution yet, I've got a video for that too, believe it or not, and I'll link that up as well. But what we're substituting for is actually a C. So if I played a C underneath this, we would have a C13 chord. This is the C here, flat 7, that's the 3rd, and there's the 13. But we're doing tritone substitution, and F sharp and C are a tritone away from one another, which is why we're playing an F sharp in the bass instead of a C. And you get a really cool sounding chord, especially since we're going down to F right afterwards. So you have that chromatic bass line. Okay, we're going to regroup once more. Oops. So if we took out all the substitutions and all that fancy stuff, we would have the 4 chord going to the secondary dominant of A, and then there's the A minor 7, there's the D7 without any of those alterations, so that's the fancy D7 with the 5, the flat 7, the flat 9, the sharp 11, and the 13, but if we just play this voicing down here, it's a much simplified version, much more simple version. And what comes after that? Then there's that C7. Now we're doing that tritone sub, going to that G flat, and now we're at the F. All right, so I just threw a lot of chords at you there. If it doesn't make any sense, then rewind it and try to connect some of those dots. But let's keep going. So once we have... then we do it again. But we change it up a little bit here. Okay, so what we're really doing here is something interesting in terms of the melody. The first time the melody went like this. And now the second time it does this. So for all you guys who are composing and writing songs, or even improvisers out there, it's a really good idea to be able to play a melody and then change it slightly. On the one hand we have, and on the other hand we have. Do you hear how those two are related? It's an important point for anyone who's trying to write a good melody. You want to have ideas that develop upon one another. Okay, now in terms of the chords there, we had, this is the second time. So we're at the A minor 7. And I'm going to a D7 again, just like we did before. We did that D7, which is really, really funky. This time we're doing a much simpler version. This is a D7 sus. That G right there is the sus. And that F sharp right there is the third. So we're going D7 sus to D7, just a straight up D7. Okay, so let's review again. First time. Second time. Pretty cool, right? It's essentially the same progression repeated, but the first time and the second time differ in terms of the voicings and the melody changes, and there's some alterations that differ as well, as you guys saw. So let's go to the third time now. All the same. Now here's where things change. Notice the first 3 chords are the same so far for both the first time, the second time, and the third time. But on the third time, we're going to do something even more drastic. We're going to go from here. Wow, what's that? I'll tell you what. This is what we did before. Remember this is what we did the first time. Now, if you take a look at this voicing here, this is that D7 or that D13 with the sharp 11 and the flat 9. All I'm doing this time around is I'm taking the same voicing and I'm moving it up a minor third. So it's exactly the same voicing. We have a couple things you can recognize here. That is a minor triad there. That's a major triad there. Kind of interesting. Got a diminished triad there. A lot of interesting intervals happening here. But the important point is that we are using the same voicing, just a minor third up. And then I'm going back down a minor third. This was the original one. And then I'm going back to that F sharp 7 altered chord that I did before. And then we're back at the F major 7. So here's number 3 again. Here's the third time through. That real slow. One more time. Now we're on to the fourth and final round here. This is the coolest one. So far the same. F major going to the E7. But now instead of going to A minor, we're going to throw in a little surprise. We're going to A major 7. We're doing some of that modal mixture where instead of going to the minor chord, we're going to a completely different, well, this would be the parallel major, right? If that's parallel, if this is the minor, this is the parallel major. Now it works because we're still coming off of that E7 chord, which is the 5 of the 6, but instead of doing the 6 minor, we're doing the 6 major 7. I know this is really dense stuff. If you guys haven't checked out my chord scale charts, that's going to certainly help you in this endeavor. Also, I am currently working on another course that's really in depth that goes into building chord progressions and understanding all of this stuff, and it's written out, and I won't be talking super fast to fit this into a short enough video, so that'll be really helpful for everyone who wants to dig into this stuff further. But let's continue. We're on this A major 7, and then we're going to go to this E add 9 over G sharp. Why is this an E add 9 over G sharp? Let's look at the notes. Well, the G sharp is there, so that's why we have it over a G sharp in the bass. F sharp is the 9 that we're adding. B is the 5 of the E chord, and then E is obviously the root. So this is an inversion. We could play it. That might be a more clear way to look at this chord. Here's the G sharp in the bass. Here's the E, that's the root. F sharp is the 9 that we're adding, and B is the 5. Now G sharp is a very good note to put in the bass here because it's what would be the 3rd of this chord. If we just played an E add 9 chord, it would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, or 1, 9, 3, 5. But we're taking this 3 and we're putting it in the bass, and that allows for a nice descending bass line when we come off of this chord. A major 7. This is the E add 9 over G sharp. Now we're going to a G13. And what's really happening here is we have this note in the top. This is like the soprano voice that's very consistent. It doesn't change, but everything below it does change. So you have this kind of anchoring us, and then you have nice voice leading moving down here. This is the G13. And then here we have an F sharp 7, which is very similar to that F sharp 7 altered that we had in the previous sections, because it leads nicely back to the F major 7 that we start this progression off with. So that little progression there, if you notice, the bass line just moves down in half steps. A, G sharp, G, F sharp, and then F. So I'm going to play it one more time all the way through. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And if you haven't subscribed, you can do that as well. If you want to dig into this stuff further, again, I'm going to be releasing a really, really in-depth course. And if you want to do one-on-one work, I offer Skype lessons as well. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.